Great week of radio in store for you. Today, Thursday, and Friday, we will be bringing you the candidates for mayor here in the great and mighty city of Fall River. And my first guest to kick off Mayor's Week is going to be a first-time candidate for mayor, Jonathan Albernaz. Jonathan, welcome.
Hello.
Great to have you in studio. This is your first time running for mayor, right?
Yep, first time running for anything political.
Take a few seconds. Tell the listeners a little bit about yourself. You know, where were you born? Where did you grow up? Married, kids, educational attainment. Give us the resume.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Fall River. I went through all the various schools. I went to Diamond for high school. I was in the electronics shop. Afterwards, I went to Bristol Community College, got my associates in computer networking, and then I went to Johnson Wales University, got my Bachelor's of Science degree in network engineering, worked in the professional industry, and while working in professional industry, I also use my spare time to enroll at Northeastern University to get my Master's of Science in Computer Science, so a slight change in professions there, where I got into software development and software engineering, and eventually earned that degree. All three of those degrees were of high honors, and I've been working in software development as a senior software engineer for a good number of years now, 7.5, a little bit over that.
What company do you work for?
So I work for a company called Stratus Technologies.
Okay, and what type of software do they write?
Virtualization software. So, and it's you ever heard of VMware?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of like VMware, except this virtualization platform is fault tolerant.
And explain that to the non-techies out there.
So there's high availability. So, for example, if you have one system that crashes, for example, but that system was responsible for offering web services, your website just went down. And you'll have to, hopefully you have a spare available. And if you have a spare available, 15-minute downtime, 1 hour downtime in order to power on or switch on or to switch traffic to that high availability system. However, in a fault-tolerant world, that is insufficient. So the switchover would be in a matter of seconds, if not shorter than that. And you can see this being used in applications that require high availability, like banking transactions.
Okay. What part of the city you live in?
I live in the Highlands right now.
Okay.
I grew up in the South End, right on the line, State Ave. And then I lived in a Flint for a good number of years, and now I live in the Highlands.
Rent or own?
I own, yep.
You own your home up in the Highlands. Why are you running for mayor? What interested you in the mayor's race, and why now?
So I didn't get any degrees or education in politics. I wasn't interested in politics, but what happened a year and a half ago with the government taking a huge overstep on and encroaching on people's individual liberties and freedoms, that is essentially what got me involved with contemplating running for mayor. And it didn't let up, so the lockdowns lasted for over a year, and we're entering a new stage of fear amongst the people, and there is likely to be another inevitable lockdown and shutdown of businesses. And these things, once again, were never asked or given consent of the people, right? And governments, especially kinder-minded, benevolent governments, their mindset would be something like this. They would suggest to people, offer each individual options. Hey, we believe that doing this is in your best interest, doing that is in your best interest. Try these practices, stay away from these particular things, whatever they may be. And
recommendations?
Yes. Yeah. And leave it to the people to decide what is in their own best interest. Because, I mean, hopefully we live in a world where there are millions and billions of individuals with their own individual needs and wants. And we could never guess what those may be on a holistic type of approach.
But let me ask you this, Jonathan. So we, according to you, went through a lockdown during the pandemic. Do you blame Mayor Coogan for any of that? You know, why not run for Congress? Why not run for state rep? Why the mayor's office? Do you think Mayor Coogan could have done a better job during the pandemic? Is there any faults that you fault him with?
Yeah, that responsibility lies solely with the mayor, the executive branch. It does. For example, declaring a state of emergency is for the city is within his power.
Yes.
And also by declaring a state of emergency, he gains additional powers that allow him to do these types of overreaches and violations of existing laws, by the way. We have existing laws both on the federal and on the state level that protect people from discrimination and discriminatory practices, and specific to medical discrimination.
Is there anything during these last, 18 months that you would have done if you were mayor? So if you're the mayor of the city, we have a pandemic, what would you have done differently?
Oh, the differences would be to leave it to the people to decide what's in their best interest. So do not have forced lockdowns of business. If a business decides that they want to play it safe and they want to shut down their restaurant or their club, whatever it may be, that is up to them to decide. Right? We shouldn't be playing favorites with either this business is too big to fail, so therefore we leave it open, or this other business employs too many people, so we leave them open. Meanwhile, a lot of the smaller businesses, and as you know, smaller businesses tend to lean towards restaurants and bars and things of that nature, and those all the while are feeling the full force of shutting down, not being able to earn a livelihood, and also putting them on the government dole of sorts, where they have to now look to the government for relief.
Let me ask you this. I'll go through some of the initiatives that were taken and get your stance on them, see where you would have landed on the issue. Mandatory masks.
No, there is no need for mandatory masks. And in addition to that, post and signage of that, we actually have laws that prohibit that type of activity. The fine is somewhere between, I can't remember exactly, but it was like $500 or $2,000 for a place of public accommodation to post these types of signs. These go back to discriminatory laws that were put in place back in the 50s and 60s. So why we're doing this type of practice now is it's unfortunate. I thought people would be more respectful of people's individual rights and their privacy, too.
Should the city be promoting vaccines?
No, it should not be promoting vaccines. It should offer them as a suggestion. But once again, that's as far as it should go. It shouldn't be this ongoing, continuous onslaught of propaganda by the government to the people, hammering them day in, day out. Get your shots. Get your shots. Hey, if you want to have a chance of winning millions and millions of dollars, then get your shot, and you're going to be enrolled in some lottery system. That's coercion. That is also against the law.
And before I get to some more specific city-based questions, political affiliation, is there any with you? Democrat, Republican, Libertarian?
Party of one, just me.
Just you, so
just me.
Undecided or unenrolled, or just
independent my entire life. I'll remain independent my entire life. I don't like parties. I don't like the party system, and I don't like operating as with a group think or herd mentality mindset.
Okay. How's the campaign going? What are you doing as a first-time candidate? You have, I think, some barriers of name recognition or even getting a campaign out there. You're also going against probably two well-known local politicians in Ponte and Coogan. What are you doing to separate yourself or to go out there and maximize your votes? And do you have high expectations of winning this race?
I always have high expectations of winning at anything that I try to do. I'm a very competitive person.
Okay.
I like to compete. I'm certainly at a drawback, lack of experience and things like that. And I'm not a politically minded individual, but a lot of what I do is see people in person, face to face, and talk to them. For example, part of what I do is I went up and down Main Street, right next to City Hall. And it's a little bit of a sad state where half of Main Street is boarded up and not being used for commercial businesses. and I talked to various store owners and people that were there, and got their feedback on what they want and what they see in a future mayor. Also, just what they see as positive things that could happen to the city and for the city.
Before you decided to run for the office of mayor, did you reach out to any current elected officials to share your thoughts with them? Or did you say, hey, look, I'm just going to enter this race and get my message and my thoughts out there to the people?
So there is a messaging that gets put in place by people, and the most vocal among them was Coogan. And there was also, I was either the first or the second person to get listed as running for mayor. So I didn't know of anyone else that I could talk to beforehand. I did have a chat with what used to be Jordan Sylvia.
Okay.
A brief chat, not a lengthy one. I also had a chat with Vandal. A little bit more of a lengthy one, but still not enough to get a full assessment of that. All of those came post me attempting to run, putting in my name forward to run for mayor. So based on Coogan's messaging that he has put forward, there really isn't anything there that I can work with, because he's in full support of doing whatever the higher-ups running for the state level are sort of pushing down from there in sort of a dictatorial fashion. So we're always appealing to the greater authority. And the state level, by the way, is also appealing to a greater authority, which is the federal. Mm-hmm. And that seems like this opposite system that the United States across the board seem to have been set up for, where the power should always rest with the people, the individual. Each individual should always have more power than the people that govern them at each and every incremental step on the higher up layers of government. So, for example, the local government should always be more powerful than the state government. State government should always be more powerful than the federal government. And that's what we have on paper, but in practice, it doesn't seem like that, and it doesn't seem like that for the citizens of Fall River either.
Jonathan, I want to take a commercial break. I got to go to the newsroom with Alan. When we come back, I'll get into some more specific issues with you regarding public safety and education and economic development. My guest is Jonathan Albernaz, running for the office of mayor. You're listening to the Will Flanagan Show, and we'll